incentivize helping the environment. Okay. So whether you agree or disagree, again, as I mentioned, this is what we have in our tax law and tax system. You have to understand that's what goes into it. The social policy goes into some of these provisions. Okay, and I talk here about, again, tax expenditures, how these are kind of backdoor ways that the government might try to have an indirect subsidy by providing, oh yeah, this is lost revenue we would have raised if not for this provision. That's all important when you're looking at whether it's a good tax or not. One thing I want to mention, when you're dealing with efficiency, there's one, and again, taxes affecting certain behavior. There's one group of taxpayers in particular that they've done studies on that do affect behavior, and that's house spouses. So the age-old question of whether a spouse, when spouses have children, should stay home and go to work, or go to work and send children to daycare or whatnot, have someone watch the kids. Taxes have made a huge impact on this decision. It's one of the main areas where taxes have made a decision. So think about it. If you have two spouses, spouse A and spouse B, let's say spouse A is a lawyer, or an accountant, tax lawyer, tax accountant. Let's say they make 6 figures, they're making a decent amount of money, and the other spouse is an elementary school teacher, and this couple of spouses, they have twin children, just had them, okay, or adopted or whatnot. Well, the question becomes, should spouse B, who makes not as much money being a teacher, maybe just does it because spouse B loves being around children and helping children out in the school, should spouse B stay home with the children, the twins, and pretty much raise them rather than pay someone to come, a nanny or a daycare, to watch the children, which is going to be significantly expensive, maybe even more than what spouse B actually makes. And you also have to consider that spouse B has to pay tax on the income that spouse B makes at the school. So you have to actually make more and then actually be able to pay. Now, yes, you'd have to make more income, and then you're taxed on that income, and then you actually pay you pay the provider, the nanny, or the daycare, right? But the idea is you're making more than what you actually have to pay because you're subject to tax on that. So taxes do have an effect. Now, yes, there's certain incentives, like there's credits or deductions there's child care credits. But maybe because the spouse A already makes so much money that those spouses are outside the phase-out range, maybe those tax credits or tax benefits they've been thrown out the door because they make so much money and they're married and they file joint. Okay, you got to think about all these different things. But I'm just going to tell you that in these situations, taxes have made an impact. They've done studies on this, on these spouses, in terms of whether spouse B should just stay home, raise the children, or go to school, work at school, make money, but then be taxed on it, so you have net money of less, and then have to pay a provider, when maybe spouse B just wants to stay home with the kids anyways because spouse B wants to be with the kids and be able to raise the kids, and just know that those kids are going to be raised and be able to enjoy the time with those raised properly, and be able to enjoy time with the kids. All right, so that really concludes the introduction of tax law. These are just some major aspects to tax law. I think this is what whenever you go into a tax class, you should think about these things. What exactly is a tax, right? Comparing and contrasting a tax versus a fine or penalty or a fee or a toll, right? And then the types of taxes. We talked about income taxes, personal property taxes, real property taxes, sales taxes, use taxes. We talked about all these different types of taxes, as well as the governments that try taxing you. Then we talked about the history of the federal income tax. We went through that, and that's also very important, understanding where we are with the Constitution, our tax system the way it is. Again, different times how it was unconstitutional, looking at the charts of the different tax rates, because that makes an element when you start looking at micro tax issues like different provisions and why Congress tries to stop taxpayers from redeeming money or redeeming stock from the corporation rather than just getting a dividend, and how that tax law is developed, and looking at the different tax codes and the philosophy, and finally focusing on tax policy, the three elements: simplicity, equity, and efficiency in determining what makes a good tax. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please make sure to continue with your tax exploration.